Hey, how's it going? I'm going to read you some cards, but first look at some signs. So, oh, be good if you could actually see what they say, huh? Okay, that's enough. Whoops. So, yes, I pulled some cards today. I pulled two. And the first one was from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. Star what? I don't even know. I don't think I pulled anything star. And it was Netcaster number 46. And I think it's interesting that I pulled cards for 3 days for readings, and I believe I've had sixes in 3 days in a row. I'll have to go. Well, I'm not going to go back and check. Probably not. But I think if I'm mistaken about the 3 days in a row, it is because I didn't just pull cards for just doing this. So I kind of I'm gonna. There was one thing I meant to do before I got started, and it was have all of that ready. And I don't have the 6 part ready, so can't pause it because it's recording now. I'll have to add it to the information box afterward. Or well, I mean, I can look at my books, I just can't look on another tab. So anyway, I just want to show you what cards I pulled first. So I pulled this one, and then from the other deck, I always use the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. I pulled, slow down, oopsie, come on, the Lamb card, and that's Earth Energy, grounding, just right now off the card, I'm getting grounding. The colors are soothing. The lamp, like I want to just put it down for a minute because it's going where I thought it was gonna go, and I just want to hold off for just a moment before I get into what it's talking about. So I got first I didn't get anything. Especially from this one. Like I got some stuff from the Lamb, but I wasn't sure what it had to do with this. And then what I got from this was netcasting, or netcasting is the card, and the subtitle is Preparations Come to Fruition, which is interesting. Okay, so network, grid is what I got. And when I thought about it, it's kind of been on my mind, I guess, for a little while, but I didn't realize. It's weird, like I had been thinking about stuff and didn't know what it was connected to, is what I'm trying to say. Or like stuff was just coming to mind, and I wasn't sure, like, why am I thinking about this? This has no connection to like right now and stuff that I'm aware of. Like, like they happen sometimes, and I'm just like, what? So I had been thinking about nodes, which are boy, I mean, I learned about it from Cryon, so I am just gonna try and crib together something kind of sensible. I can't give you as much detail as you'll get from listening to one of the channels, or many, which I would suggest if you want to understand like the nodes and the ley lines and all of that. Yeah, I mean, you can look up nodes and ley lines, because basically that's what I was getting, but specifically from Cryon you get information about what's in them, why they're there. And yeah, they're like Cryon describes the nodes as time capsules. Like if you know of this, I don't really hear people talking about this, but I don't go to school or anything, and I think it's done in like universities or high schools maybe, where the senior class maybe will bury a bunch of items that were like a big deal to that class that year, or significant stuff about the year, like almost the stuff they put on the Voyager spacecraft, like for someone to come along later and find and then go, oh, this is what these people were about, basically. But the time capsules, I think, get dug up by like us. If it goes right, I think there's a designated time years later, or else they're just left to be found by whoever. So I'm not really sure. Like I said, that's not not a part of my life. So but the nodes were like coinciding with this other stuff, which was the algorithm is so weird. Like, I feel like sometimes I don't even have to say out loud something for it to just pick up like what I'm thinking about. But I was thinking about like problem places, and I have watched a lot of ghost shows, which is probably what like put me along this line of thinking at all, like why I'd even come to it. But in a lot of those shows, sometimes the problem will be the location of, like, if it's somebody's house or business or school or like whatever it is, if there's a location that's gone bad, a lot of times it can be what the location is built atop of, like the land itself. Like if it was sacred to like indigenous people, or just someone that is so hung up on their life and they're dead now, and they don't have like the riches, and the land has gone to many other owners because they've been dead for like hundreds of years or something. And but they're so like, capitalism, fairy godparents, they're like nuts, and like they're dead, and they're like, they don't believe they can't take it with me, go. So they're just like hanging around harassing people, and sometimes they're just like wanting to be in the place because the connection is more than just like it's more than just a possession that they bought, you know. Like they in all likelihood would have bought it and had to work for it. And you know, if it's hundreds of years ago working for something, oh my god, here goes another tie-in. I'm like writing something that's entitled partially The Value of a Dollar. And part of the theme in that is you work your ass off for the dollar, and that's when you respect it, because the reason why you have to learn the value of a dollar is because you've done something foolish to lose it, or allowed someone to take advantage of you and lose it. And so when you have worked your ass off for it and struggled, and you're like, I ain't letting a penny go, because the hard work for that penny. And I feel like this is kind of the attitude of these dead people that like can't let go of the possession thing. And you know what? I bet if they let go of the possession thing, they would just go wherever the dead people are destined to go after they die, like the heaven, or you know, whatever you believe. An atheist, you just like go into a closet and that's it. I don't know why that's funny. So anyway, the locations though, I was like, okay, so with the notes, I don't know how you would look this up. I don't know where specifically one is. People do, but I don't know how to ask those people, or even really specifically who they are. Like Lee Carroll, who channels Cryon, in all likelihood knows, but I mean, get through to him would be like trying to get through to Brad Pitt. I feel like he's not got like that type of layers, but I would imagine that he's got layers of protection around him, and just layers even, and just it would be hard to get through to them. I feel like just to ask a question. Ow, well, anyway. So they're highly energetic centers, okay, for one thing. And so my question, well, one of them is the energetic output of the thing so strong that it's like a keep away area? If it is it like a I want to say a Skinwalker Ranch, but actually Cryon and Sterling Psychic Medium have both said that that's like an airport basically, and that all types of basically magical energy things and aliens, or off-worlders, non-planetary residents that fly in from off-planet, and just like I guess it's like a couple of vortexes sort of overlapping or something, and that's kind of like making my brain fold in weird shapes to even think about. But I mean, it's a strange place. So I mean, is that a node? Is all of that like because of a node, or is it someplace like like Gary, Indiana? That is supposed to be a really scary place to go because it has really bad crime. But God, like, just even talking about it is making my scalp tingle. The crime is so bad, it feels like it's in like an area of energy that feeds on negativity, and it draws it, or it like it is the source and draws in people that it like feeds on, or I don't know, but the population is very low. I remember watching some YouTube show, and I think the guy was just going to like bad towns, which are bad for whatever reason that the people cleared out, but especially because of violence or something like that. So it's supposed to be basically just like a crime, terrible place, and this guy was driving through there, and he knew that, and he had been warned by someone already, I think it was a policeman or a police officer, not to have the windows open or stop and talk to anyone there until they were like fully out of Gary, Indiana. And then I don't know if this was the same guy, same show where this came up, but he was saying that like people were basically possessed there. Like that's why it was so dangerous. And I feel like I saw 2 videos about Gary, Indiana, so I might be kind of conflating the two, but I specifically remember in one of them, same thing with if you're driving through, don't have the windows open, don't stop, don't be talking to people. So this one guy is in there, and he's creeped out, definitely. I think this might have been the haunted kind of one. And he's just getting all these weird, bad vibes, and I'm getting him too, just talking about it. Come on, get it out. So, he's like driving along, and he's like, should I obey the traffic signs or what? Because there's like nobody around. There's not even lights and stuff. It's just so eerie that, there's like a couple of city lights, like lights are shot out and stuff. So there's like random light sources, and it's creepy. So he's like going along, and I think he was wondering, should I obey the traffic stuff? And he's like sitting at a stoplight thinking about it, and a cop pulls up next to him going the other way. I don't know if he just drove through the red light. I think he just drove through the red light. There was no other traffic, and he was a cop. So I guess he could do whatever. And he stops next to the guy, and he says, roll down your window. So the guy rolls down his window, and he just talks to him for a minute, and he pretty much can tell, I guess, that he's filming and, doing something. And he's like, yeah, you need to finish up what you're doing and move on out of here. Like, just hurry up and go. You're almost out. Just keep going and get out. And the guy, I think, asked him, like, what's it like working as a cop here? And he was like, it's fucking hell. It's the worst. Don't talk to anybody. Just go, keep everything locked up. And I think he tried to ask him about something paranormal, and I think that the officer did like acknowledge that there was definitely some of that affecting the situation. So, I don't know if that's like a vortex or a portal or what's going on there, but there's places like that. There's a place in Ohio that it's like a restricted area, and there's like some sort of, I want to say, like manhole thing. It's above the ground, because I've seen supposedly a film of it also on YouTube, but the guy that took the video had gone there, and there's all these signs from like military, like, you'll be shot, and like serious stuff like don't go here. But there's not, I guess, people actually physically guarding it. But I got the idea, because I've seen several stories on that place, that there's cameras somewhere, somehow, where they can check that people are there. Maybe sensors on the ground, who knows? Something. But there doesn't seem like there's anyone around. So this guy goes in, seems completely dead and deserted. And I don't remember if he was creeped out. He might have been creeped out just knowing where he was going, or he might have just been also creeped out. But he goes to the manhole thing. It was kind of weird, because it was like, my mind is showing me a stump, but I think it was more like a upraised concrete situation, and then to have like a round thing that you could climb down into for whatever reason. Like, normally it would be for some sort of electrical or some sort of traffic control or sewer, water, who knows, but some sort of municipal thing. And it was like all locked up. And then I guess someone came finally, just out of nowhere, and some like, I think he said it was like a military with no insignia, so you had like no name, no rank, no branch of military, but obviously like in a jeep. I think it was two of them actually, like a pair of soldiers, obviously, that came and said, "Get the fuck out," or you're gonna get shot. And they did not give him a ride, but they made sure he left. And I think that was it. But that's always intrigued me, and it's definitely some kind of government thing. Well, obviously they're covering it up, but what in the heck are they covering up? There's this channel called, I think, SRP, and it's supposedly, I think, like fake stories of like captured government creatures and just weird X-File type things, and the stuff that like you can't look at it, and it eats people, and it can do mind control or other type of telekinetic type things. And it's really kind of scary, because in those things, like, so many technicians and doctors and soldiers just die. And I believe it says it's fake, but I kind of have to wonder if it's not someplace like in under that manhole in Ohio is something like that. So this a net, the way the illustration is, there's a woman on there holding a net. It does remind me almost, because there's like a star sort of image all over this thing, little bright points of light, and something about it just is very space-like. Like whatever this halo is going on around this person's head, it looks like deep space also to me. And all these little bright lights, like either they're fireflies stuck to her net, or jewels, or stars. Like, I think they're stars. And so it was more about what I was talking about earlier, like the nodal points, like in the net, because the nodes on this world, they go around the whole world. So if they are like intersectional points of a net, we're surrounded. And the way Cryon tells it, like, I don't think that the nodes have the kind of energy for like that Gary, Indiana type place, or But see, it might not have to be that it's the energy that's bad. It might just be that that's the way it's going through the people it encounters because of their consciousness level. That's, I guess, all I could think of. Because, like, if they're in somewhere like Chicago, which Chicago is not a small place, I don't think. It's not all like the places where most of the, or they keep like the black people, they like can't get out of the area. I don't know if it's that they're poor or what, but I know that all black people in Chicago don't live in the places where people are just shot all the time and there's a lot of gunfire, where they move the hospitals so far out from the people that if you're like shot and you need immediate emergency care, they put them kind of too far away for the people to get there in time if they can get to these locations. And what I just said about the hospital stuff is a few years old, at least, knowledge. So that, I hope, has changed, because that just is cruel. I mean, I understand that it's a scary, terrible war zone, but don't we have, like, I don't know, war-hardened medical people that can handle, like, being around an area like that? Because it feels like they need it. But like I said, my information is not current. I'm just freeballing, so I don't know what's happening. But what I was trying to say is, well, for one thing, Chicago is more than just like its bad areas. Just like any big city has its bad areas. So, but, like, is it that the nodes put out so much energy that what's built in proximity to them is affected? And here's the other thing. The guy that made the show I was watching about going to the bad cities, well, he does it for various reasons, and I guess the dude just lives traveling because he's got different shows about all of the cities, or he went to all the cities and just made different shows. I don't know. I don't watch it all the time, but he's got some interesting content, and one of the things is like the cities that are dead, because usually it's because industry moved out. In some cases, it's because the violence became so bad that there was like flight, resident flight. I don't know what races, different things for different places. So all different things. And I watched the whole episode and he got to the end of it, and they were bad because mainly businesses left or wouldn't come. Like Chicago's having a hard time attracting businesses because of the area. And again, I don't know how old that video was that I watched. I think it was pretty new though, because I usually look like within a couple of years. I think even newer than that though, actually. Anyway, he was saying that like that violent area of Chicago is not why Chicago is on his dead city list. It's on there because partially people have fled because they don't want to be near all the violence, but it's also because, there's not a lot of jobs because businesses have moved out and stuff went to China. Like, there's all these different, like, forces, so it's really not any one thing that you could go, it's that, blame it on this people or that. It's like a combination of things. And so it just makes me wonder, like, what effect does it have to be on or around these things? Because I think there's a lot of them, and there's not enough, like, places that are wide open and sparsely populated for these things to be, if that's what kind of area they need to be in. I would think they can just be, like, anywhere, really, because I don't know, really good technology. Like, it should be, like, they have been there a lot, like, millennia. So, and evidently they're, like, operating, because since I've gotten into this whole spirituality business and listening to various channelers, apparently, like, people are going and, like, activating them, and they're doing stuff and putting out energies, and, like, there's so much stuff. I'm not going to try to tell everything. But like, you see what I mean? Like, they can't all be like in the desert and the ocean. You know, there's wide open spaces, but there can't possibly be enough to like have them all in, so they can be safe and undiscovered, basically. And all over the world, by the way. I'm not just talking about the United States here. They could be in the ocean. I'm sure they're in the ocean. So, that's like an interesting thing that I was kind of thinking about. And then it led me to thinking that it was about networking people. What does it always come back to? The other thing I was watching, of course, before I started was basically Republicans and Democrats news. The Republican news, I have to say, is far more interesting, far more scandalous. But it's a lot of fighting and arguing and one-upmanship with the words, and it's better than, you know, whipping out a gun and shooting each other, so it's fine. I can, you know, I would prefer that. More of that. But I feel like right now we have a problem sort of connecting when we talk to each other. Like, even if we can get it together to not like get so mad we say something and then just like stalk off, like, can we just stand there and like hear stuff we don't agree with and not stop talking because of it? Because if we kind of need to do that, because it's in our government, and that's the problem, because those are the wheels that make stuff turn in this country. Like, that all has to work right. It's not great that it's us citizens, you know, we citizens having all of these discussions and arguments and things. But it's something that has to happen, I guess. My thing is, while that's going on one layer, like on one timeline, sort of on the DL, sort of sub rosa, where you're not really paying attention, like buried beneath the earth, the nodes are doing things. As well, as one thing I know they're doing when they're activating is activating us, activating our DNA, because the stuff that we've been calling junk DNA, or our scientists have been calling that for a long time, is not junk. It just was not, it was inactive, and it's quantum. So if I remember correctly, the nodes are part of activating that. There's so many things that can activate that. That's also very dense and complex. Not going into it. But you must be able to receive the activations. You have to be willing. And that's what I thought of when I pulled this. And so it's almost like the whole calmness thing that I started going into was like a shift into a whole other timeline down below the other loud, clashy stuff. And it's all about like the goodness that's being unlocked in this DNA, or the reminder that at our essence we are love. And that means not necessarily being in love, and not necessarily I'm not sure how to word what I'm trying to say, but to be love is, I would think, at the very least, harmless to one another. Let's do the least harm to one another that we can. So, also, you know, all of the energies that are coming to remind us who we are, that we are the love, and to be the love, can come from many different sources, like the channelings and other people. Some people with directed intention that know that they're doing the work and spreading the light and the love, and some people that just are that way naturally, and You don't have to know to do well, to do good in this area, because if what you're doing is being nice and kind and showing people love, like attention and appreciation and respect, speaking to them in a low tone, the way you might to an animal that might become skittish, like a baby, a lamb, or a kitten, or your cat, or your dog, or your child, or someone who you just are soft on, like your mom or your grandma, like someone that needs to be protected by someone stronger that loves them, that would stand in the way of a criminal for them. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't have to be your blood relative either. Like, I've been talking about the people out there, they're forming their own networks of helpers, you can donate to, like I talk about these videos that I watch with the Good Samaritans and the donating that I'm really liking that. Of course, one that I like very much is the feeding stray cats people out of Turkey, where cats are treated so well in Turkey just by everybody. They can just walk into a restaurant and pluck food off of people's plates, and the people are like, "Oh, it's a cat." And they're like, "Okay, cool, the cat got some food." So I like to send those people donations. Anyway, getting sidetracked. But I don't know what the significance is of the nodes being on top of or near places, or even if that's a thing, but that's what came to mind. I also, so I, before I watched this, there was another, because I watch a lot of these too. There was a video of someone saving an animal, and it was it was a guy in a car, and they were having to go slow on this road for some reason, and a deer, like a fawn, came walking right up into the car and was licking the window, and the guy opened the window, and the fawn let him pet it on the head, and then was licking the guy repeatedly, and they weren't going anywhere really. So the guy decided, oh shoot, this animal's in distress, so he gets out and follows it, and it goes to a young buck, and the buck has gotten its antlers tangled in a hammock, and it's all panicking and kicking and freaking out, so the guy can't get up to it, and obviously he doesn't have deer tools, because he was just riding in a car. What even are those? But they must have been in Canada or something, because when the dude found the Canada sentence is going to make sense in the sentence. It's going to make sense in a minute or a sentence. The guy just whips out a knife. Just was carrying like a big old hunting knife, unless they cut away and he went and got one somewhere. Like I said, he was just in a car on the road headed someplace. He wasn't about to do animal rescue. But anyway, he gets out, he finds the deer, he pulls a knife out of his pocket, and when the deer has tired itself out, because it of course sees the man coming in, starts freaking out more, oh my god, I'm stuck, and here comes a guy, and understandably. So the guy waits for the deer to get tired, and he can walk up and gradually is able to cut pieces of there was cord or whatever that it was tangled up in. So he gradually cut the pieces away, and then the deer got out, and there was a narrator, and the narrator goes, but the deer didn't run off immediately, and the deer did stop and turn around and stare at the guy all significantly, and the narrator was in its way, the deer said thanks. And I'm sure that was true. I mean, they're not assholes. Animals. And so my note was, animals can comms without words, and breaking news, so can we. Dude wasn't he may have been making some soothing sounds, but he did not look to be talking. He just was kind of, he did that thing that you do with like a wild animal, kind of keeping his gaze downcast and moving like glacially slowly. But yeah, he freed it, and that was beautiful, and I like seeing that too. Oh yeah, that part about we can comms without words as well, if we're in the right state of mind. Softer defenses like, oh, I trailed off. Great. Well, I get it about the softer defenses though, and that's like being in the receptive state of mind, so that it occurs to me that if you're in a receptive state of mind, you better like tune it to a certain thing, because you don't want to get like all of the stuff from the upper layer that you were dropped out of, and you don't want to be in that. I feel like the helper, good Samaritan, animal rescue type people sort of really dwell in this other layer of softer defenses. Excuse me. Because they're so kind. Particularly the people that help the homeless people. There's the one that just comes with all these supplies. He's in Arizona. His name is just Nate. Nate with a K, K-N-A-T. I will link a thing of his. But he and all of them are like very kind, because no, not like link. Nate. I mean, if you think about it, when they approach these people, they don't know what the heck you're going to do. They don't know if you're going to start berating them or be nice. So it sometimes gets off to kind of a salty start. But, they just wait them out like the guy did with the deer. And once the people can sense, like an animal, like, oh, this person is not out to hurt me in any way, then the whole tone changes. The conversation becomes something completely else. And I feel like it's the people operating on that sort of more pure layer of spiritual meeting, like vibrational meeting. Like you can buzz at the same vibration. You can tune into one another, and it's not dissonance. There's not like a clashing and a buzzing that's unpleasant. A static that gets on your nerves. It's just no surprises, no anger. Nobody's trying to take anything from anybody. Nobody's trying to outdo anybody. It's all about like bolstering of each other's energy. Like, oh, you're happy, I want you to be happy. Let's be all happy together and keep up the happy. And there's people that are like that. Just laughing because it's funny to me. But yes, people really are like that. Supportive, like genuinely. For like strangers. I mean, that's what I mean. Like, they don't have anything invested, and they're not looking for anything back. And wow, that is like some oxygen right there, like some pure oxygen. So it kind of took me a long time to get to these realizations about this, or these revelations, I guess. But what I also felt really strongly when I pulled that Netcaster card was Six of Cups energy. So I'm going to read you what the Tarot Six of Cups card has to say. In the garden, it's not I'm going to show you the illustration from this book since I don't want to pull out that card. So, in the garden behind a manor, there are 6 cups, each with one star-shaped flower planted in it as a flower pot. A boy gives a girl one of the cups with a flower. A guard walks away on the path to the left. This card represents innocence, generosity, love, trust, sharing. It is the achievement of the pure mind of the beginner, unfettered by preconception. The departing guard means for better or for worse, we have let our guard down. Softer defenses. And then finally, I'm going to read you, I guess I can close it. Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me. I'm going to read what the book from the Shaman's Dream Oracle has to say about the Netcaster card. Netcaster, preparations come to fruition, a surprise, a result beyond expectations. The netcaster arrives to tell you to stop praying for the fish. They have arrived, and it's time you cast your net. And I hear all time is now. So to me that means like when you, okay, so the fish have arrived and it's time to cast your net. And don't wait. So like you're in the waiting state of mind, but the fish are just there already anyway, and you have to cast your net. But all of that has also already happened, and that's what I meant. But by all time is now, and I think that's what it was saying here. But also it's saying, well, okay, so it says also the netcaster arrives to tell you to stop praying for fish. They have arrived, and it's time that you cast your net, lest they swim away. Act. So I guess you have to like pull yourself like into the moment. Like you're there to fish. You know fish are there. You know you're gonna catch fish. You know you're gonna be walking away with fish. Get to fishing. I don't know what that's about. Okay, I know one thing though. I did note that what this had to say was far different from what I was getting, but I'm just gonna bring it anyway. Everything that you long for is within reach, but it has been so long since your prayers were answered that you have forgotten how to receive what is being offered to you. You know, when you pray for something and you don't get it in the time, like, if you're all like, where is it already? Well, I feel like I should have gotten it now. That is going to make stuff take longer. That's all I'm saying. Put down the prayer beads and open your arms and your heart to rewards beyond measure. Cast your net. So it's almost like it's saying, like you have this intent, but you gotta both do all of the stuff and then let the fish come to you. That's your prayer. Same thing. Take the next step that if you... Take the next... Come on. Take the next step that you have been planning for so long. Remember that the fish wait for no one, so time is of the essence. Heaven and earth are in perfect alignment for your victory. You're gonna get them fish. The stars are positioned for success. Fishing with stars net. The only one who can spoil the perfection of the moment is you. If you ask, do I really deserve this? Don't be doubting. Doubt will take you out. Doubt will take you out. I love the running. Doubt will sabotage the magic and shatter the crystalline flawlessness of the now. The netcaster can also arrive to bring you bad news, to tell you that you have been ensnared in someone's trap and must wriggle free. Right now it feels comfortable enough, even as the net begins to tighten around you. Well, that's because you don't realize it's happening. Shoot. Go to your place of stillness, of deep quiet, and watch for the signs that a new opportunity has arrived. To slip out of the tightening net, I hope. Is that what it was? It does say net. Oh, that's right, the card is net, huh? Never mind. Bide your time now until all the conditions are right. Oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. Do not wait until it is suffocating you before realizing that you must escape and run for your life. It is still early enough to exit gracefully. It is still early enough to exit gracefully. I don't know why that feels meaningful. Bide your time until all the conditions are right. Go to your place of stillness, of deep quiet, and watch for the signs that a new opportunity has arrived. Right now you're patient because you feel that things will go your way. Learn to be patient with the people and situations that are more challenging. Okay, fine. I won't be impatient for what I prayed for. I mean, it seems like there's a fairly reasonable reason not to be impatient. I guess, gosh, in light of what I just said, with the two layers, the loud, clashy, and the calmer, cooler, and more collected one below, that's actually doing more good for people, which is what all of us people, I think, at our roots want, is good for ourselves and our people, and some of us, each other. And I guess the goal in the whole spirituality thing is for us all to come to that realization and revelation that basically we are love. So are we being love? Like, what are we doing? What are you doing? And I think that we're here to figure out, like, how to undo the knots that we made ourselves into for this lifetime, you know, like our puzzle, our life, our blueprint. We're not supposed to know what's gonna come. Like, that's supposed to be part of the fun. Like, you know, I guess it would take the fun out of life if you just knew what was gonna happen all the time, right? I don't know. I have not experienced that to a great degree, so I don't know. Anyway, something to think about. Thank you and good night.